I reviewed the 2015 NNS results for the region, for Central Luzon. And I picked up on some kung ano yung tingin kong nutrition problems at the regional level. Although alam natin na yung statistics at the regional level do not really reflect the disparities on the ground. So kung titignan natin, ang Central Luzon is for the main part highly urbanized, mga Pampanga, large areas of Tarlac, tama ba? Pangasinan is Region 1, no? Zambales is Region 3. Oh, so Zambales, Bataan. But there are areas in Central Luzon na mataas din yung na marami ring indigenous peoples like Aurora, parts of yung tri-boundary ng Tarlac, Pampanga, Zambales. And these, itong different areas na to will have different nutritional problems. So dun sa mga GIDA areas, prevalent pa rin ang undernutrition, but in the urban areas, tumataas na rin ang overnutrition. And actually what we see in yung Greater Manila area, NCR, Calabar Zone, and Central Luzon, dito talaga pinakamataas yung overweight and obesity. Yeah. Tapos yung nakita ko sa na medyo significant sa anthropometry sa adults compared to the national average, yung mga mean waist circumference among both males and females, medyo mas mataas, statistically significant yung difference. So ito yung mga babantayan natin dun sa Central Luzon. But one thing, nabanggit din ni Ma'am Lisa yung first 1,000 days, and actually sa Region 3, yung ating breastfeeding indicators are poor. So mas mababa yung early initiation, prevalence ng ever breastfed and exclusive breastfeeding dito sa Central Luzon. Tapos compared to sa national, significantly lower, and significantly higher yung bottle feeding, yung proportion of bottle fed and less than 3 years old na binigyan ng prelactial feeds in the first few days. So actually magandang research questions ito. Ano yung factors affecting yung breastfeeding practices natin dito sa Central Luzon. And even during COVID, diba, naging isang issue yung donations of infant formula ng mga NGOs, tapos to the LGUs, pwede ba itong tanggapin ng mga LGUs or not? So I don't know kung anong experience nyo sa Central Luzon, no, Ma'am Lisa, kung kamusta yung monitoring ninyo, pero yung sa sharing nila sa NCR, tsaka sa Mimaropa. Sa Mimaropa it was less, pero sa NCR medyo marami experiences. But I have a classmate who's tinutulungan niya yung husband niya na mayor dyan sa Central Luzon. Hindi ko na babanggitin kung saan. Pero ang kwento niya, she's really concerned kasi sabi nga niya, ang daming mga kalapit LGU nila na tumatanggap or bumibili ng infant formula, yung mga LGUs dito during the COVID pandemic. So siguro isang magandang tignan, ano yung impact ng COVID pandemic on nutrition, anthropometry as a whole, on wasting, lalo na kasi acute malnutrition, but also on the feeding practices and on IYCF particularly sa breastfeeding practices, tsaka sa marketing or donations ng mga breast milk substitutes. We're worried about this kasi nga alam natin na in the longer term, bottle-fed or formula-fed babies have higher risks of chronic diseases, cardiovascular diseases, and overweight and obesity. Tapos, research gaps, I would say na yung isang magandang tignan kasi is getting localized data and using it to plan your nutrition programs. Nakita namin to sa iba pang LGUs that we worked with. Diba ginagawa yung OPT, nakakasubmit naman sila, pero how is the data used for nutrition programming and for allocation of resources ng LGU for nutrition? Diba? It also redounds the functionality of the local nutrition committee. So siguro yung mga operational researches on how the data is used by the LGUs to improve their nutrition programs, magandang mag-identify ng researches for this. Ano pa ba? Yun, tapos localized data nga on coverage and on knowledge and practices. Kasi the factors that prevent mothers from exclusively breastfeeding in one area may be different from the factors affecting mothers in another area. Diba? Kasi medyo may mga cultural differences din tayo sa mga regions natin. It would be good to know also these local factors affecting practices. Tapos yun, yung isang malaking area nga is really impact of COVID on nutrition. We're, diba, on the bigger picture, alam natin na kulang ng access sa pagkain, problems dun sa supply chain will really affect yung intake ng mga bata and then later on yung nutritional status nila. Pero how do we document all this so that we can make a better case also for allocation of resources for nutrition in the future? That's a big question. Kaya gusto rin ng ibang groups talaga, like yung wasting natin, what's the impact of the pandemic and quarantine on the prevalence of wasting sa under 5 children? Yung marami pa yatang hindi nakakatapos ng OPT nila dahil din sa quarantine. So we don't have enough data yet on that. I don't know lang sa CL kung kamusta yung submission ng OPT results. Pero we heard from other provinces na marami pa rin hindi pa nakakasubmit. At hindi pa nakakatapos actually ng OPT. So, yun. Tapos isa pa siguro, yung tungkol naman sa nutrition-sensitive interventions. Kasi we know that the problem is bigger nga than just providing, micronutrient supplements or implementing our continuation of our nutrition programs. Pero yung current PPAN kasi also includes what we call the nutrition-sensitive interventions. So yung nutrition-sensitive interventions, these are like improving food security, improving social protection, making other programs have an impact on nutrition. Ang data ng 2015, parang sa food security naman ng Central Luzon, it's not that big a problem. But this was pre-COVID. So we don't know, again, how the food supply chain was affected by COVID in the region. Problems sa nutrition-sensitive interventions globally is that there's still a lack of evidence due to the lack of well-designed studies kasi ang dami mong factors na kailangan i-control or i-adjust for in the analysis kung tinitignan mo yung buong food system from agriculture, interventions, paano ito nag-i-impact dun sa nutritional status. Diba? Maraming mga factors na papasok dyan. So, that's why globally, kulang pa yung strong evidence for nutrition-sensitive interventions, lalo na mga agriculture interventions. But designing good studies also to provide evidence for that will be a big contribution, hindi lang siguro sa bansa natin, kundi globally din. But alam naman natin na nutritional status is really dependent on food intake, food accessibility, the food environment. Kaya, we know that improving these will really improve the nutritional status of our citizenry. Areas actually in nutrition that we see there are research gaps, and we know that the LGUs are actually undermanned at this time kasi mga tao napupul talaga sa COVID response. We think that working or partnering with universities to offer internships to their students or graduates would be a good idea kasi pwede silang maging parang additional human resource to help out in researches that we identify as our priority in the region. So yun sana yung isang, I don't know if there's anyone here from university, pero yun yung isang idea na usapan namin ni Dr. Elmer, and I think it's a really good idea to pursue this. Maganda kung magawa natin dito sa region na to.